The anime kicks off with an intense scene where a young boy named Nai finds himself handcuffed and held captive by a woman named Main. Nai is about to become the subject of a terrifying experiment, and he's powerless to stop it. But just as things are looking bleak for Nai, an explosion rocks the room, and chaos ensues. Suddenly, a mysterious young man named Gareki bursts into the scene, and it quickly becomes clear that he's not there to help anyone. Gareki is a notorious thief who's known for breaking into the most luxurious homes and stealing priceless treasures. It's a stroke of luck that Nai ends up being held captive in the very mansion that Gareki has his sights set on. When Gareki realizes that Nai is being kept prisoner, he sees an opportunity to kill two birds with one stone. He agrees to help Nai escape, but only if Nai hands over the valuable bracelet he's wearing. Things quickly take a turn for the worse when it's revealed that Nai's captor, Main, has survived the explosion and transformed into Veruga, a terrifying monster that poses a grave threat to humanity. With danger closing in from all sides, Nai and Gareki are forced to make a daring escape. They hatch a plan to sneak onto a cross-city train, knowing that it's their only chance to get out of the city alive. As they board the train, Nai reveals to Gareki that he's on a mission to find his long-lost friend Karoku. But before he can explain further, Nai is unexpectedly captured by Main, the woman who had been holding him captive before. Desperate to help his new friend, Gareki listens intently as Nai recounts his last encounter with Karoku. It's a haunting tale of bloodshed and mystery, as Nai stumbled upon a trail of blood leading to the ocean and discovered the very bracelet he wears on his wrist today. The bracelet that Nai wears turns out to be more than just a simple piece of jewelry. It's actually an identifier for a secret organization known as Circus, and only the true owner of the bracelet can activate its power. As Nai and Gareki come to grips with this shocking revelation, they suddenly realize that they're completely alone in their train carriage. Just as they start to feel uneasy, a man and a girl suddenly appear out of nowhere. The man introduces himself as Hirato, captain of the second ship of Circus, while the girl with him is his team member named Tsukumo. They've come to rescue Nai and Gareki from a group of hijackers who have taken control of the train. As they continue on their journey, Nai suddenly hears a strange sound and follows it to its source. To his surprise, he discovers two prisoners who have been locked up in one of the train carriages, one of whom is Valedo, the CEO of Gardo Corporation. But their respite is short-lived, as they soon learn that the train has been rigged with bombs that will detonate one by one. With the clock ticking down, Gareki springs into action and helps Circus' team to detach the rear of the train before the bombs can be triggered by the radio signal. As the smoke clears from the train explosion, Gareki and the Circus team realize that the hijacking was actually a ploy by Valedo to test their skills. Hirato learns from Valedo that he is intrigued by Nai and his unique hearing ability, which piques the interest of the Circus team. However, Valedo secretly orders his men to capture Nai. After the incident, Nai decides to part ways with the Circus team and joins forces with Gareki. Gareki tells Nai to wait for him in an old building while he goes out to look for food. But when Gareki returns, he finds that Nai has disappeared once again, having heard Karoku's voice in the distance. As luck would have it, a circus was in town when Nai and Gareki arrived. Nai desperately searched the crowd, hoping to catch a glimpse of his friend Karoku. But as he looked, he was suddenly grabbed by Valedo's henchmen. Thankfully, Gareki saw what was happening and quickly gave chase to help Nai. Just when it seemed like they were in the clear, another group of Valedo's men appeared and used an electric shock device to immobilize Gareki. With no way to defend himself, Gareki was about to meet his demise when a clown unexpectedly leaped into the fray. The clown revealed himself to be Yogi, the second ship fighter of the Circus organization, who managed to save both Nai and Gareki from certain death. Valedo quickly retreated, unwilling to face off against Yogi. With the danger averted, Yogi brought Nai and Gareki aboard the Circus ship where they met Hirato, the captain of the second ship. As Hirato began to explain the workings of his organization, Nai interjected with a burning question: where was Karoku, and what was the significance of the bracelet he had found? Hirato's response left Nai reeling. There was no one named Karoku in the circus, and the bracelet was actually the organization's outdated form of identification, one that should have been destroyed long ago. After much discussion, Nai, Gareki, and the circus organization formed an unlikely alliance in their quest to find Karoku. But the circus was no ordinary organization. It was actually a government agency with a specific mission to eradicate the Veruga, and to dismantle the Kafka criminal syndicate responsible for their creation. Some time later, the circus ship carrying Nai and Gareki made a stop. Hirato instructed Yogi and Tsukumo to keep an eye on Nai while he tended to some business. But the two ship fighters were easily bored and soon found themselves playing a game of hide-and-seek. Tragically, Nai stumbled upon a hidden passage that led to his accidental expulsion from the ship. Fate dealt Nai a cruel hand when he felt perilously close to a veruga, making him an easy target for the monstrous creature. Luckily, Yogi, Tsukumo, and Gareki arrived just in the nick of time to save Nai from certain death. However, Nai's relief was short-lived as he began to suffer from excruciating pain when he heard Karoku's voice in his mind. Meanwhile, Karoku was spotted in the company of Eris, the granddaughter of Valedo. Nai was found unconscious and required immediate medical attention as his brain channels had been disturbed. Despite his condition, Nai was tormented by dreams where he conversed with Karoku. In one of these dreams, Karoku urged Nai to sever ties with Gareki, stating that he did not need him. Nai was quick to acquiesce, announcing that he no longer required Gareki's presence. Naturally, Gareki, who had been watching over Nai, was deeply hurt by his friend's words and left him alone. On the other side, Hirato was engrossed in a ship's doctor's explanation, who disclosed Nai's secret. Nai wasn't human, but a rare Niji animal found only in the unique Ani forest ecosystem. While Nai confided in Gareki, explaining why he had told him to leave. Nai feared for Gareki's safety, but despite the risks, Gareki decided to stand by Nai's side and accompany him to meet Karoku. The following day, Nai and Gareki were scheduled for examination at the Circus organization's research tower. Meanwhile, Hirato was in a high-level meeting with the officers of the 1st and 2nd Circus organization ships, along with their top doctor, Akari. The doctor explained that Nai's internal body structure resembled that of Veruga, a deadly enemy of the Circus organization. But Nai was a new species, a miraculous creation formed by merging human cells with Niji cells. Later, Akari and Hirato took Nai and Gareki to the Ani forest, where Nai was believed to have originated. The doctor hoped to uncover clues about Nai and Karoku's whereabouts. As they entered the forest, they were amazed by its beauty and peculiarity. Strange rainbows and mirages often appeared, and the electromagnetic waves were so unique that all electronics malfunctioned. The group had to rely solely on their hearing as the unique electromagnetic waves of the Ani forest rendered all electronics useless. Nai's heightened sensitivity to sound was a result of living in such an environment. They trekked through the forest for an hour until they reached Nai's cave home. However, their peaceful exploration was cut short when they were ambushed by Veruga. In the chaos, the Veruga snatched Gareki and fled. Yogi sprang into action and quickly caught up to Gareki, only to find him surrounded by the enemy. The situation looked dire until Eva, a fighter from the Circus organization's 2nd ship, arrived on the scene and single-handedly defeated the Veruga. Meanwhile, Eris was seen having a conversation with her partner Uro. Shockingly, Eris was the mastermind behind Gareki's abduction by the Veruga. She did it at Karoku's request, as he was currently interested in Gareki. Eris was obsessed with Karoku and was willing to do anything to win his favor. After the unsuccessful search for clues about Nai at his cave home, the circus team found a notebook containing numbers and symbols, but nothing significant. As a result, they decided to visit Gareki's old home in Karasuna City. Upon arriving in Karasuna City, Gareki reunited with Tsubame, a girl who used to live with him. However, Tsubame was in distress and confessed to Gareki that she had killed someone. Tsubame had been experiencing intense pain for a long time, and it had worsened recently. She recounted a time when she had blanked out and woke up with blood on her hands, feeling panicked and unable to recall what had happened. Soon after, they met Tsubame's twin brother Yotaka, and due to the late hour, they decided to stay at Tsubame's home for the night. As Nai sat beside him, Gareki shared a haunting story from his past. He recalled how his own parents had sold him off to be a part of a group of children on a ship, where he was subjected to cruelty and abuse at the hands of older children who stole his food every day. But that wasn't the worst of it. Gareki soon realized that there was something terribly wrong with the food they were being given, causing the other children to grow abnormally. Eventually, the ship sunk, and Gareki found himself stranded on a beach, until a woman named Tsubaki rescued him. Tsubaki, who happened to be the elder sister of Tsubame and Yotaka, cared for Gareki, but tragically, she was betrayed by her boyfriend and killed. As Gareki recounted these painful memories, he also remembered that Tsubaki's boyfriend Umji had given them a supplement for nutrition. However, Gareki's suspicions of Umji kept him from ever taking it. The clock struck midnight, and Yogi jolted awake at the sight of Tsubame standing outside their home. He roused Gareki and the others to investigate, and soon they stumbled upon a wounded person with the same markings as Tsubaki's body when she was murdered. The evidence suggested that the same culprit was responsible. Suddenly, Yotaka appeared behind them, his hands covered in blood, and Yogi realized that he could pose a grave danger to the group. Thinking quickly, he instructed Nai and Gareki to flee while he stayed behind to confront Yotaka. As they ran, Gareki couldn't help but recall a painful memory from the past, when he had made the difficult decision to leave Tsubame's family behind. Before departing, Gareki had warned Yotaka to not get involved with him anymore. Gareki urged Nai to leave, insisting that he had no business getting involved in their dangerous situation. Feeling somewhat coerced, Nai obeyed his friend's wishes, but as he walked away, he caught a glimpse of Tsubame with a man who gave him a bad feeling. Trusting his instincts, Nai took action and rescued Tsubame from the man's grasp. Meanwhile, Yogi battled Yotaka fiercely, refusing to resort to lethal force. When Yogi mentioned Gareki's name, Yotaka's demeanor shifted dramatically. Fueled by anger, Yotaka's body underwent a startling transformation, and he turned the tables on Yogi, knocking him unconscious. Soon after, Yotaka spotted Tsubame and Nai, who had been captured by Umji, the man who had given them the dangerous supplement that turned them into Veruga. As the truth emerged, they learned that Umji was also responsible for causing Yotaka to kill his own sister, Tsubaki. Gareki was outraged and wanted to attack Umji, but the man transformed into Veruga before they could lay a hand on him. Thankfully, Yogi regained consciousness and, with one swift move, sliced off Umji's arm. Umji, who had been pushed back, ordered Yotaka to kill everyone present. Despite knowing the truth, Yotaka refused to obey Umji's command. Tsubame had always encouraged Yotaka to maintain his human form, which he was able to do during this time. Umji, frustrated with Yotaka's persistence, attempted to transform him into a full Veruga. Yotaka, realizing he was about to change completely, asked Gareki to kill him. Reluctantly, Gareki followed through with Yotaka's request. However, before Yotaka could fully transform, he was pierced by a spear thrown by Hirato. Yotaka died peacefully, never fully becoming a Veruga. Following Yotaka's death, Hirato chased after Umji, who attempted to flee. Captain Tsuki, from the Circus organization's first ship, arrived on the scene shortly after and reprimanded Yogi for being in the first ship's territory. Yogi apologized and proceeded to explain Kafka's organization, which was responsible for creating Veruga through two methods: combining cells repeatedly or exposing humans to Veruga's blood. Yotaka and Tsubame had unknowingly consumed supplements mixed with Veruga cells and were victims of Kafka's organization. Tsubame was devastated upon learning that the supplement she had taken contained Veruga cells and expressed her desire to die as a result. With Yotaka gone and her grandfather hospitalized, Tsubame felt that her life had lost all meaning. Meanwhile, Hirato succeeded in defeating Umji. In a surprising twist, Gareki discovered that the ship he had been on as a child belonged to Kafka and was sunk by the Circus organization. Hirato believed that their fateful meeting was no coincidence. In the end, Tsubame made the decision to join the first Circus ship, feeling abandoned by Gareki, who had chosen to leave her behind. Before departing, Tsubame visited her hospitalized grandfather and learned that Gareki had left to earn money for his treatment. Gareki had wanted Tsubame and her twin to live a peaceful life, hence didn't involve them in his endeavors. Tsubame decided to offer her body as a research subject in the fight against Kafka's organization. Later, Suki instructed Hirato to send his team to Rinro for both investigation and leisure. Hirato shared this information with Yogi and the rest of the team. Yogi was initially thrilled when he heard they were going on a trip, but his excitement quickly faded upon arriving at the destination. The place was far from what he had envisioned, and the freezing temperature caused Yogi and the rest of the team to experience hypothermic symptoms. As they were struggling to keep warm, a snowman appeared and invited them to play. Following the snowman's lead, they stumbled upon a large house that belonged to the Kafka organization. They began searching for information related to Kafka, but despite their efforts, they found nothing. Eventually, they decided to leave the place empty-handed. Meanwhile, while conducting surveillance on the Kafka organization, Tsukumo found herself in a perilous situation. Two men, Dan and Jamin, abducted her, but she managed to break free. Unfortunately, Tsukumo was stranded in Sabam, where there was very little signal to call for help. Just as she thought she was safe, she stumbled upon Eris, who let out a piercing scream that drew the attention of Uro. Upon arriving on the scene, Uro quickly assessed the situation and took charge. He pacified Eris and ordered his men to escort her back to her room. Uro was irate when he learned that Dan and Jamin had failed to carry out their mission effectively, allowing Tsukumo to escape. He reprimanded them for their incompetence, leaving them to face the consequences of their actions. Despite their earlier failure, Dan and Jamin had managed to make a significant discovery for the Kafka organization. They had uncovered an old box that contained incriminating evidence of the organization's criminal activities. Uro was elated when he received the box, as he felt that his organization was now out of harm's way. Meanwhile, Tsukumo, who had managed to escape, was now taking refuge in a forest. Exhausted and on the brink of collapse, Tsukumo began to reflect on her past and the experiments that Kafka had subjected her to. Despite her fatigue, she pressed on and eventually stumbled upon a greenhouse. To her surprise, she found herself face to face with Karoku. With a sense of urgency, Tsukumo sprang into action and launched a surprise attack on Karoku. However, her efforts were in vain as she was quickly overcome by the Varga poison that had been lurking in the greenhouse. Unbeknownst to Tsukumo, she had been conducting reconnaissance at the Varuga headquarters before her capture. Thankfully, Hirado was patrolling the river area and stumbled upon Tsukumo, who had been left for dead. To his relief, Tsukumo was still alive and appeared to be unharmed. After hearing about Tsukumo's encounter with Karoku and her defeat, Hirado began to suspect that Karoku may have a different agenda that ran counter to Kafka's organization. He theorized that Karoku was working to protect Nai's future and had allowed Tsukumo to live as a part of his plan. Shortly after, Jiki, one of the fighters from Circus organization's first ship, made his way onto the second ship. He declared that he had taken charge of protecting Nai and Gareki. He then escorted the pair to the Vinto Nature Reserve to carry out an investigation mission related to Varuga. Vinto was a conservation site for rare species and a crucial location for the Circus organization's fight against Varuga. It served as a biological weaponry facility that was dedicated to saving humanity from the threat posed by Varuga and Kafka. Nai and his companions arrived at the Vinto Nature Reserve, where they were warmly greeted by the supervisors of the Life Division, led by Dr. Akari. Suki, the captain of the first ship, then divided the group to conduct a more efficient investigation. Suki decided to go with Gareki while the others stayed behind to keep an eye on Nai, who was now considered a valuable asset for the survival of the Circus organization. During their investigation, Suki also showed Gareki the development of the Inkura Cell or Almighty Cell, which served as the source of power for the Circus organization's soldiers. Gareki was fascinated by the abilities of the Circus organization members, which far exceeded the limits of ordinary humans. Nai, Kichi, and Jiki were conducting investigations in the forest with a Life Division member named Murano when they were interrupted by an infected horse species called Kiri. Chaos ensued, but Yogi came to the rescue and helped Kichi and Jiki. The Circus organization's soldiers were able to defeat the infected Kiri. Suki then sent Nai and Gareki back to the 2nd Division to keep them safe after discovering the cause of the Varga virus in Vinto. Jiki was also temporarily transferred to the 2nd ship to take care of Nai. After a while, Hiroto and Tsukumo found themselves in a meeting with the mafia boss of the Lindane group. They were discussing the whereabouts of Valedo and the Kafka members who were now hiding in the Gardo Corporation. Meanwhile, Nai and his team from the 2nd Division were enjoying a well-deserved vacation in a tourist area. However, their plans were interrupted when a boy named Yanari approached them for help in finding his missing mother. As Nai and his team worked to solve the mystery of Yanari's missing mother, Akari was busy investigating the irregularities surrounding the incident at Vinto. Hirato's words about a possible traitor in the Circus organization were also on Akari's mind. After agreeing to help Yanari, Nai and his team finally managed to find Yanari's mother's location on the map. Sadly, they discovered that she had passed away a long time ago. Although Yanari was heartbroken, he still expressed his gratitude towards Nai and the team before parting ways. Some time later, Nai had another dream about Karoku's condition, which led him to discover the location of the smokehouse, where Karoku was being held by the Kafka organization. Nai also learned that Karoku had been sacrificed by the Kafka organization in an attempt to perfect Varga's cell. With this information, Hirado and his team devised a plan to rescue Karoku. On the day of the attack, Yogi and Gareki sprang into action, causing chaos at the main gate of the Gardo Corporation. They hacked into the security system, allowing the circus members to enter and eliminate the Varuga who were hiding within the organization. However, their plan hit a snag when Uro and other Gardo workers revealed themselves to be members of the Kafka organization, determined to defend their comrades. A fierce battle erupted, with both sides fighting tooth and nail for their respective causes. As the battle raged on, Yogi and Gareki struggled to hold their own against the overwhelming number of Veruga. Meanwhile, Nai and Jiki were still on the hunt for Karoku but were forced to split up when they were discovered by the enemy. Tsukumo and Eva fought fiercely against Uro, who was protecting the Valedo family as they attempted to escape the Circus organization's ambush. As the chaos ensued, Akari uncovered the identity of the traitor in the Circus organization, his own assistant, Azana. The revelation left him stunned, but there was no time to waste as the fate of the organization hung in the balance. In the midst of the mayhem, Nai's determination to save Karoku reached a new level. Suddenly, he resonated with the power of nature's chakra, causing a distortion that opened up a dimensional gate. Tsukumo and Eva used the chaos caused by the dimensional gate to contain Uro's movements, giving Gareki and Yogi a chance to take out the Veruga that surrounded them. The two of them quickly made their way to the shrinking gate. Meanwhile, Hirato rushed to Akari's aid and Azana fled the scene. But Tsukumo and Eva found themselves overwhelmed as Uro broke free from their seal with ease. In the midst of the chaos, Nai and Gareki finally reunited and managed to reach the dimensional gate with the help of the circus members, who bravely blocked the Veruga's movements. In the final battle, Nai and Gareki reached the dimensional gate and entered a parallel reality. They were stunned to see Karoku dying, after being attacked by an evil version of himself, created through Kafka's experiment. To prevent Nai from being influenced by the evil Karoku, Gareki shot him in the head, which made him disappear from the battlefield. This decisive action led to the victory of the Circus organization, and Uro and the Varga were defeated. The anime concluded with Nai and Gareki being temporarily separated. Moral lesson that we can learn from this anime is, it's important to be adaptable and keep an open mind because things may not always be what they seem.